Can I, a Project Zomboid Noob, survive 24 hours at the absolute mayhem that is the Louisville Mall? But to make it worse for myself, I have to make it there by starting at only the default starter towns and making it there under 24 hours of spawning. An absolute feat, but let's embark on this journey together. But first, let's go over exactly what is Louisville and the rules for this run. Louisville is the true endgame town of Project Zomboid, a highly dense and infested town with seamlessly endless amounts of hordes of zombies. Many small corridors, if not taken carefully, could lead to certain death. But most notably, home to the infamous Louisville Mall, which most would agree is the truest survivalist challenge. A mall infested with hundreds of zombies inside and even more thousands nearby outside that could easily wander in if aggroed by loud noises or sheer bad pathing luck alone. Only the truly insane would venture in, and even more insane to survive the mall. But that's what we're going to be doing in this video today. But lastly, now let's quickly go over the rules. Must make it to the Louisville Mall in under 24 in-game hours from spawning. Default spawn time is 9 AM, and then survive at the mall for 24 in-game hours. Rule number 2, this is a strictly vanilla run, i.e. no mods or debug mode will be used in this run. Rule number 3, must spawn at every town at least once with 2 max attempts per town. Rule number 4, vehicles are allowed, obviously, or else it would be mostly impossible to reach Louisville in 24 hours. Rule number 5, default apocalypse. Yes, that includes blood transmission and just the craziness that comes with apocalypse mode. Rule number 6, I can choose any combinations of professions and traits. And lastly, the last rule, no looking up guides or maps if at all possible on purpose. But other than that, free game, I can slay, loot, and explore all I want. But now with all that wrapped up, let's answer the age-old question. Can a Project Zomboid Noob survive 24 hours at the Louisville Mall? Alright, so for our first attempt, we're actually going to be spawning West Point. I originally started West Point because this was the closest map to Louisville. Now for the professions, I mostly went the burglar. All these runs mostly give you the burglar, because the burglar gives you the option to be able to just hotwire a car right off the rip. You don't have to level up anything. You get in a car, you can hotwire right away. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing or planning on doing with this run originally. I originally wanted to reach Louisville and survive there for a week, but that seemed a little too easy the second day in. So I decided to ramp up the stakes and survive the most unholy, forsaken environment, the Louisville Mall. A place I had only ever lightly heard about from content creators in horror or disbelief. I had only ever briefly seen the absolute mayhem and chaos of the mall. So I decided to venture off there as my main goal. And this is my story of how I died. I spawned in what I believed to be a motel, checked only about half the rooms before cutting my losses down the hall, and stumbled upon the kitchen, where I learned I can actually use a rolling pin as a weapon, and my experiences with eggs in Project Zomboid. I was lucky on a whole carton of eggs, but then realized I couldn't eat them raw, so I decided to put one in the microwave to see if they cooked. Hey, in my defense, this is Project Zomboid. In real life, that's a really bad idea. But this is Project Zomboid, so let's see what happens. So I put one in as a test subject, and to my surprise, it cooked and it didn't pop. So I put the rest to cook, and I was set on food. I then proceeded to venture outside and find a vehicle. My original plan was to find a car with gas. That was it. I know most people are probably agitated with me that I just didn't loot a gas station and then bring the gas to the car, but you have to remember, I'm an absolute noob. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't want to use any maps to find locations. So I had no idea where a nearby gas station was, plus I didn't want to waste my time of 24-hour time crunch to find one. Luckily I was able to spot a nearby vehicle, but in typical Project Zomboid fashion, a dilemma appeared. There was an absolute fudge ton of zombies nearby them, and there was no way of sneaking by them. I could probably get to one unseen, the rest I'd have to pull the whole horde. So I checked one of the cars, and to no luck on gas, and then proceeded to accidentally pull one of the hordes and quickly devised a plan to pull every nearby zombie and kite them around. I pulled them to my spawn location, gave them the old loop-de-loop, got back to the parking lot where a lone straggler was, disposed of them, and found what I thought was a godsend at the time. A Louisville map. More on why this wasn't a godsend later. But back to the matters at hand. Checked the nearby van and saw it had loads of gas and was in great condition. Broke the passenger side window, got in, and learned how to hotwire a car for the first time, believe it or not. And we were off. I'd only been to Louisville very little times with my cousin, so all I knew it was up northeast-ish. That's all I knew. I then found my first obstacle, a bridge clustered with cars, so my big brain decided to get out of the vehicle and walk down the bridge, nearly falling off the bridge to my death, before realizing I could take the train tracks nearby. I then made it to the military checkpoint and got out of the vehicle, for I thought the barricades was unpassable. Yes, I decided to go on foot. For the vets, I know you're cringing at me, but for my fellow noobs, you can actually move the barricades and pass by vehicle. More on that later, but before you do that, if you know how to pick up stuff, just be careful, because if you pick it up, it takes time to pick it up, and it takes time to place it, and if you place it in front of you, you're going to prevent yourself from running, and you might get mauled and even killed, like I almost did here. But more on that later. But once again, I was a noob and I had no idea, so I proceeded by foot, encountering many near-death experiences as I tried to find a vehicle. I then found out what I believe to be a news/radio station with a parking lot full of vehicles, and well, zombies too. So I once again attempted the old tried and true lure and loop-de-loop, and found a van with the keys in the ignition but barely any gas. Without a second thought, I took it and ran it until it was out of gas, and I abandoned it near a gas station. Yes, you heard that right, I abandoned my car near a gas station. I then proceeded to find a new car and take off with the new car that had very little gas that was also near the same gas station. Yeah, I don't ask me why I did that. I can't state this enough, I was an absolute noob. I then took it and decided to set up shop nearby a house. Remember, this was originally going to be can a noob survive a week in Louisville, but decided the stakes wasn't high enough, so I decided to change the rules to survive at the mall the remainder of the current and future attempts. I slayed, looted, and explored for about a day, then on 7-Eleven, the date, not the store, I attempted my luck with the infamous Louisville Mall. I ran out looking for a car. We had a car, but remember, that so-called godsend map? Well, I didn't know that it only showed part of Louisville. Louisville is much bigger than what this map showed. So from my experience, I always knew, oh, it was in the top right corner of the map, right? They didn't know that this was only maybe a quarter, not even a quarter of the map. So I kept like wandering everywhere. Where is this mall? I'm in the corner, not knowing that it only showed me part of the map. But after I had realized that, somehow, some way, I had found the Louisville Mall. I had never been so excited. I could not believe I had reached there my first attempt. I then quickly devised a plan to lure all the zombies outside with the cars on. Got out of the vehicle and entered the elusive Louisville Mall. I then ran into the mall in celebration. I just aimlessly and recklessly walked around everywhere because I knew I could make it to the mall. So therefore every other run should be easy. It was just surviving at the mall that would be the main challenge. I ran around aimlessly and did what probably every noob does in the Louisville Mall. Getting caught in a room where you thought it was safe. Where you have the zombies from one side not knowing that the other door behind has an absolute metric fudge ton of zombies, and well, I got pinched and that was the end of that run. I had survived over 2 days, but not within the new rules I constructed. The next attempts would be the same, with the change of getting to the Louisville Mall in under 24 hours and then surviving at the Louisville Mall for 24 hours once I got there. Unfortunate on the previous run, but hey, I learned a lot and I eagerly and quickly dove into our second attempt of West Point. Of course, I chose the burglar profession for the ability to hotwire cars off the rip, and the same positive and negative traits for the most part. Still not fully min-max on the traits, but hey, we learned it. Pretty much the same as the first attempt. Loot quick supplies and get a vehicle. Luckily there were nearby cars, and one with gas, where I learned a trick that if you have an empty bottle or gas can and can open the menus for the vehicles, and it lets you siphon the gas, then the car has gas. However, you don't know how much gas it could have. It could have 1% gas or it can have full tank. You have no idea until you get into the vehicle or you check under the hood. But hey, knowing if a car has gas is better than nothing. I then found a car with gas, but before taking off, I decided to loot a nearby grocery for some food supplies. Found some food, broke into a white car followed by committing Grand Theft Auto, and was off on my journey once again. I once again made it to the military checkpoint at 4:40 p.m. Still over 16 hours of time to go. I then wanted to see if I could outsmart the checkpoint by going around the right side. But on the way there, I saw a zombie with a bag I wanted. A designer bag. No, just kidding. It was just a regular bag. I don't know why I wanted it to reduce space. I don't know. Looted them, followed by the crushing realization that the checkpoint had been completely fenced off from all ways, so there was no way around it, only the main path. Smart developers, they thought of everything. I then got to the entrance of the checkpoint to proceed on foot once again. Once again, I'm a noob. Same lure and loop-de-loop later, I acquired a vehicle nearby and took off, passing by many wonderful bystanders, where I proceeded to crash into a stop sign, but was given a second chance by the Almighty with my car not stalling, just to crash it into a street light 2 seconds later. And that was it. My car was done for, and so was I if I didn't act quick. I went to the backseat and quickly got out the back passenger door, getting grabbed and tripping. I was severely injured and had a fate worse than death. I had been bitten and my zombification timer had begun. I knew surviving at the mall was out of this run, but I just wanted the accomplishment, just the self-knowledge that of reaching the mall, at least. I went off on foot, bitten and running low on time. Lost the initial horde in a house, hopped the fence into a parking lot and tried to get into a vehicle. And just like most deaths in Project Zomboid, my greed got the best of me. I got caught trying to break into a vehicle, not being able to at least make it into the mall. What a bummer. A grand total of over 60 in-game hours later, I decided to take a break before my next attempts. After a small refreshing break later, onwards to our third attempt. We will now be spawning Rosewood. This attempt and the next. One thing to note is that Rosewood is completely on the other side of the map, so I will truly be on a time crunch making it to Louisville. But on to the character creation. Same burglar and traits. This will probably be the last time I mostly talk about the traits and the profession. Just note that this is the first time I pick up slow reader, not knowing that if you pick up slow reader, this doesn't let you pick up illiterate, which gives you more points, because in this run I wasn't picking up any books. I wasn't reading books. There was no time. But same as always, loot, slay, and get a vehicle. A little over 7 in-game hours later, we had found a van with 12% gas tank. Got in the van and hotwired the baby and we were off. A little too easy to be true. Well, it was, because the van ran out of gas in the middle of the highway. Luckily there was a car with gas nearby, so I proceeded to try to get in the vehicle. The only problem was there was quite a bit of zombies nearby. And want to hear a little funny mistake I did? I got to the side of the car that I wanted to break down the window, and when I tried to open the window, or break the window should I say, I actually clicked the option to check the mechanics. So then my character walked and I got frustrated. I absolutely got frustrated and I acted sloppy and stubbornly tried to get into the vehicle, and you know what happens when you play sloppy in Project Zomboid. Well, that didn't go so well. Onward to the 4th attempt of the run and the last one from Rosewood. Let's see if we can at least make it to the mall. Spawned in what I believe to be a different house, looted and found my lucky rubber ducky, so this must be a good run. Also found a shed nearby with some great loot, some metal bars, and the holy gas can. Whether it's full or not doesn't matter. As long as I get a gas can, I can siphon gas. That's all that matters. A little zombie slaying and loop later, we got ourselves a working car with questionable gas and we were off on the road. And of course, the car ran out of gas midway. Luckily it was near a car pileup. I was able to get a car with more than enough gas that I could ever imagine. I was set for this run. I could make it to Louisville and back if I really wanted to visit the family. Now with all the gas in the world, I was set just to proceed to crash my beautiful car into a barricade, causing it to die, and soon after, my life as well. Well, so now it's time to try Riverside. Truthfully, I'm not gonna lie here. I spawned Riverside, but for the life of me, I just could not remember exactly where I had spawned. I couldn't remember if it was Riverside or Muldraugh. Like, I just could not, I for some reason just completely forgot. So I kind of wandered every which way before kind of remembering where I was and realized, oh yeah, I did pick Riverside. One notable highlight of this attempt was finding and using the power that is the sledgehammer for the first time. The true power of this beast of a weapon was unforgettable. If only this was a true survival run, I could have kept it. This thing was knocking zombies down in one hit. It was so amazing. I cannot wait to find one of these in my actual survival playthroughs. But now proceeding back to the run, found an empty gas can in the back of a car, so now I have a means to siphon gas. Lure and loop-de-loop later, we had a car. And as stated earlier, I honestly had forgotten where I spawned, so I kind of wandered aimlessly, but after a while I found my location and where to go. I had a sledgehammer and a car full of gas. Things were really looking up. No, my sledgehammer. Well, onward with misery. Last chance at Riverside, 6th attempt. I unfortunately spawned in a trailer, and from my past experiences playing Project Zomboid my first and second day, all I know is that those things were the most unsafest place because zombies would always see me there and trap me and always kill me, so I knew I had to get out of Dodge as fast as possible. I quickly looted, found a gas station with a gas can and a car nearby, and we were set. Getting all those things situated together was kind of a little dicey, however we were able to get away unscathed. Could we finally make it to the mall at least? We got to the military checkpoint, and one thing is that I had actually taken a small break and someone had told me that you can actually move the barricades out of the way. So I went there and I moved them and realized you could actually move them. The thing is, they didn't tell me that you're careful to place them, because if you place it in front of you, it takes time to place it. And when you try to run away from the zombies, you kind of sandwich. So next time, place it to the side so this doesn't happen. But somehow I survived with the skin of my teeth with a bite. I knew any long form of survival was out of the window, and if I was lucky, zombification would turn me before getting mauled into oblivion. So I took off and somehow got a car and made it to the mall. And kind of found a pretty interesting bug, what I call the slingshot bug. I was trying to go through the gates and I kept pushing the momentum, and then once I got past the gate, it just swung me to the front and almost killed me with the impact. I could tell that the almighty RNGs wanted me death at all means to not make it in the mall. So I was literally living to spite the almighty. I quickly ran inside playing recklessly in celebration, running and shooting, because I knew that my time alive was timed and my eternity as an undead was inevitable. I was just running around, shooting, I was like, yes, I finally made it. I wandered around aimlessly for a few hours, walked by a store, and my fate was sealed. But I was content with myself. I had finally made it to the mall after 4 straight failed runs. But that was it for the day. I got off to get some sleep for IRL work and continue my misery the following day. After a good night's rest and a day at work, we were off with the last town to attempt, Muldraugh. Luckily for me, this was the first map my cousin and I survived our first time playing co-op, so I kinda knew the layout of the land. We stumbled upon great loot, sadly not on a long-term survival run. Found a fierce looking and even more fiercer sounding car with no locks, hotwired the baby to a nearby gas station where I kinda learned you could fuel a car straight from the pump. All the meanwhile waltzing with Lady Death. But after getting her filled up with gas, we were off to the military checkpoint. Correctly picking up the barricade and placing it to my side. Narrowly making it past the gates. We had passed my previous failed attempts. It was looking good. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, I wasn't gonna end it like this. I was gonna make it to the mall no matter what. That was my end goal. I hijacked a new car nearby and was off reaching the mall shortly. But I didn't run in right away. I quickly had to devise a new plan. I could rush into the mall, but then be dragged down by my character being tired, by fatigue. So I decided to camp up in a house nearby and get there before 9 AM because remember, I have a 24 in-game hours to make it to the mall. I set my alarm for 7:40 AM, fall asleep right before 4 AM, which would give me just enough energy because of the wakeful trait. This gave me a bit of time to loot and find my way back, reached my nearby car and headed towards the mall. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I nearly got mauled trying to get into the mall the first time, so I decided to go through another main entrance. And I had finally did it. I had finally made it to the Louisville Mall, rested and well stocked. I did end up getting attacked, but surprisingly not bitten. And then I remembered a video I watched way back. There was a way you could hide up at the top of the mall. While many of you may say that that's cheating, the run is called Could I Survive at the Mall. which technically the roof is at the mall. Also, I pulled the aggro of all these zombies running in. Like, all these zombies know exactly where I'm going, so if I don't play this correctly and I don't like loop them around, they can easily break down the doors and track me down. So that was in itself was a challenge, so I think that justified this run. So once again, I used my tried and true loop-de-loop once again and got up top. Surprisingly, with very minimal injury, I tended my wounds and played the game at 4 times speed, relaxing and realizing this could be it. I could survive 24 hours. Right before I heard this noise. Yes, the door had been broken down. I had no idea if the zombies knew exactly where I was or if they were just breaking down things just to find me. My heart rate was just completely spiked at this point. Because at any moment the zombies could wander into my save zone and end my run at any moment. But for some reason, somehow, no one found me. Lady Luck was truly on my side. No zombies found me. I was fatigued. I slept on the floor. And I had completed my challenge. Or so I thought. I completely had forgotten that I actually didn't go in the mall as soon as I passed it. Around 4 a.m. I actually passed the mall to go nearby a house to go to sleep and get ready for the mall. So in my head, I thought I had completed 24 hours at the mall. But no, I had not stepped foot at the mall yet. So technically, my survival had not started yet. My timer had not started. So I needed to survive to at least 9 a.m. on 7/11, July 11th. That's how long I need to survive. So I'm over here running around with more than like 5 or 4 hours to go before I complete my challenge. But in my head, I think I had just completed the challenge. Luckily, I was able to complete my challenge without knowing that I did not complete my challenge before. Yes, I did it. I had set out my goal and I had accomplished my challenge. I, as a noob, had survived at the Louisville Mall for 24 in-game hours. Yes, I know people will complain I cheated the run, but the immediate challenge there was trying to get to my safe zone unseen because the horde did break down the door, but couldn't find me luckily, because if they did, they would have corner trapped me and my run would have been dead. I started with a little over 30 hours, which is barely any time to scratch the true surface of what this game has to offer. This run truly did teach me a lot, the importance of professions and the power of new trait builds and combinations, and most importantly the survival to Project Zomboid. Is not to take too long to loot everything in the game and only get the main essentials, because at any given moment your run and your life can end. But similar to my experience with Project Zomboid, this is only the beginning of what I hope to be a long journey with Project Zomboid challenges. If you have any ideas of what challenges I could try next, please leave them down below, or any helpful tips. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around to the end. I truly appreciate it. If you could consider leaving a like and subscribe to show your appreciation, I would greatly appreciate that. I was your host Adan throughout the journey, but most importantly, stay cool beans.